Good afternoon and welcome to today's free Tech Gig webinar, Windows 8, Love It, Hate It, or It's Complicated. Unfortunately, a quick apology to the audience out there. You were expecting to hear your usual moderator, Mahini from Tech Gig. She's just had a few technical problems and she'll hopefully be joining us soon. But I'm afraid you've got the stunt moderator. My name is James New from Citrix GoToAssist. But thankfully I'm not the star of the show. Our special guest, Ed Bott, is. So I will run through the normal introductions and housekeeping, and I'll be handing over to Ed. So hopefully you'll stick with us, even though it's not your usual voice moderating today. But today's webinar is sponsored by Citrix GoToAssist and powered today by Citrix GoToWebinar. Now, Microsoft's latest operating system, Windows 8, is one of the most polarizing tech products of all time. Some people love it, others hate it, and the naysayers have been highly vocal. So today we're joined for the next hour by Microsoft Windows expert Ed Bott. He's going to be explaining why Windows 8 is so controversial and what are the best implementation strategies for IT managers and consultants. Plus, of course, we'll be answering all your burning questions. So on behalf of Mahini and the team at TechGig, welcome to each and every one of you. As I say, my name's James New at Citrix GoToAssist. I'll be your deputy moderator for the time being. There's still quite a few people taking their seats in the back rows, so while they settle in, I'm just going to run through some housekeeping with you. Please do interact with us today. No need to take too many notes. You will be receiving a link within the day to the recording of the session. Plus, if you request it via the exit survey, an excellent complimentary companion white paper and handout of today's slides from today's guest speaker. There are two ways you can interact with us. The first is by using the questions pane to type in your thoughts, questions, and comments from time to time. And thank you to all of those that have given me a warm welcome already. Thank you for that. And of course, if you're on Twitter and you want to reach out to today's other webinar delegates, we'll be using the hashtag Win8Webinar. So feel free to join the conversation there during and after the event. If anyone does have any audio issues today, do note you can listen through your computer headphones or your speakers. And of course, within a toll-free phone number within India, simply note you can toggle to each option in the control panel, which you can see, which I'm demonstrating on the slide now. So you can toggle between those options. Now, without further ado, I'm very, very pleased to welcome to the virtual stage our special guest, Ed Bott. Ed's an award-winning technology writer with more than 2 decades experience writing for mainstream media outlets and online publications. He served as editor of the US edition of PC Computing and managing editor of PC World. And he's also the author of no less than 25 books on Microsoft Windows and Office, including the recently released Windows 8 Essentials. And he's also a commentator with a very well-followed blog, The Blog Report. And you can also follow his daily rantings on Twitter, which I know are widely followed around the world. So without too much further delay, let's give him a warm virtual welcome. He's joining us from Santa Fe in New Mexico at the highly unsociable hour of 5:30 a.m. So hopefully you've had a coffee, Ed, and you're raring to go.
Thank you, James. I'm on my second cup, as it turns out. And I appreciate everyone joining us this morning or evening, whichever it is where you are. I've got what I hope will be a very interesting presentation today, and I know we want to start with a poll. I'd like to get a sense of what the audience is all about here. So if you're in a management role, tell me how many Windows PCs you manage in your organization. You've got a choice: 1 to 5, 6 to 25, 26 to 100, 101 to 250, or more than 250. I'd like to get a sense of large companies, small companies, or in between.
Great. I shall leave that poll open just for another 30 seconds. That's about 50% of you voted. So once you all vote, and if you're not familiar with the voting, you just simply click the little radio button next to the option which is most relevant to you on the screen. And then I can share those results with you all so you can see who else is in the virtual room. And to Vivek, who said just 1, but we'll put that in 1 to 5. So
exactly.
Excellent. So let me close that poll up. That's the critical mass of you voted, and I'm going to share those results on screen. So that's who else is with us today.
Good. Well, we've got a pretty good mix there. I'd say roughly Boy, roughly one third, one third, one third from the small single user small business to the medium business to the enterprise, and that's good because that's going to give us an opportunity to talk about the different flavors of Windows 8 and what they mean for different people in different roles, especially if you're in an IT role. So let's start with a little explanation of what Windows 8. It was released on October 26th, 2012. That is just a bit more than 6 months ago. And I've been writing about Windows for 2 decades now, since Windows 3.1 back in 1992. And this is probably the most radically different look and feel to Windows of any edition that I've seen in those 20 years. Probably the one that comes closest was Windows 95, which introduced things like the desktop and the start menu. This version of Windows is optimized for touchscreens. As you can see from the illustration that I've got there, you can reach out and touch those tiles on the start screen, or you can use the traditional input devices, the mouse and keyboard. And essentially what you have with Windows 8 is a transitional operating system where you have the old familiar Windows desktop and the new Windows start screen with its touch-friendly interface side by side. Now the reason that Windows 8 came into existence is because the PC industry as we know it is going through a fundamental transition right now. As it turns out, consumers and businesses are not buying as many PCs as they used to. I put together this chart on the right using some data from Gartner, a large IT analyst group, and you can see that over the past 5 years, year by year, the number of PCs that were shipped was increasing, usually in double-digit percentages, 13%, 14%. But over the last couple years, back in 2011, the number of shipments was only up 4%, and last year, for the first time in the more than a decade that Gartner has been keeping track of these numbers, the number of shipments of PCs worldwide was down 3%. And so far, in the first quarter of this year, PC sales are down even more, 13 to 14% over the same period last year. Now the reason for that is not because we're not using PCs anymore, rather it's that the definition of what constitutes a PC is changing. We're finding, especially with things like the popularity of tablets like the iPad, that those portable mobile devices, tablets, smartphones, and ultra-mobile PCs, things like Ultrabooks and Microsoft Surface, are the ones that are winning in the market today. Those are the ones that are increasing their share. The losers, the ones that are not shipping as many as they used to, are conventional desktop PCs, like the one I happen to be using right now, and heavy notebooks, those 5, 6, 8-pound desktop replacements that we carry around and do mainstream computing tasks on. So Windows 8 was designed for this new world, this new generation of device types. And Microsoft, instead of thinking of itself as the company that builds software that goes on conventional PCs, is instead reinventing itself as a company that is in the devices and services business. Now that doesn't mean that it's going to be building all of those devices itself, but rather that it's going to be building software for different kinds of devices. It's also going to be providing services such as Office 365, which is the new subscription-based version of Microsoft Office, SkyDrive, the online file storage capability that Microsoft has made available for free to consumers worldwide, and Outlook.com, which is the new version of Hotmail, which has been around for something like 17 years now. The big changes in Windows 8 that take advantage of these new device types are first and foremost that it's optimized for touch. It has improved power management capabilities. That's very important in mobile devices. you're used to carrying around a laptop and searching for a power outlet so you can plug it in. With a tablet or a smartphone, you want that device to last as close to all day as possible, and you don't want to interrupt yourself before lunchtime to try and plug in and recharge. There's a brand new app model and a new app store in Windows 8. And that's a very, very big change because historically Windows programs come with an installer. You download them from somewhere or you get them on a CD or a DVD. And that installer is able to make changes to the entire PC environment. In the new app model for Windows 8, the apps can only be delivered through the store, and they take up pretty much the entire screen, so they don't have window borders as the old style programs used to, and they're also highly restricted in the things that they can do. Now, that's a negative for some developers who have to sort of rethink the way that they build applications, but it's a big positive for security and for reliability. You know that if you download an app that it's only going to be able to do a limited number of things. It's not going to be able to put a virus on your computer or interfere with the steady operation of your PC. And finally, Windows 8 has built-in connections to some of the online services that I talked about before. But the old Windows 7 desktop is still there, and that is the source of confusion. When people pick up a new Windows 8 PC, or they go and they buy an upgrade copy of Windows 8 and they put it on their old PC, the first reaction for people who don't know what they're getting into is confusion. And one of the things that I decided to look at, because I've read a lot from people who are angry and frustrated about Windows 8. So I wanted to try and get a sense of just how frustrated and how dissatisfied are people about this new operating system. And so I went to an interesting source. I went to Amazon.com, which has its own ratings and review system, and it's a nice consistent rating system, 1 star through 5 stars. 5 stars means you love it. 1 star means I hate this and I hate it enough to take the time to write a negative review about it here. And so what I did was to go back to the upgrade editions of Windows 8, Windows 7, and Windows Vista and count up the number of ratings between 1 star and 5 stars. And as you can see there, the number of 1-star ratings, people who said, I really don't like Windows 8, is fairly high at 29%. But the other thing that's interesting about that number there is that if you look at the 4-star and 5-star ratings, the people who say, you know, this is pretty good or this is really excellent, those collectively add up to 50%. And that's where the title of this webinar comes from. Some people love it, some people hate it, and there aren't very many people in that middle ground. Now, the good news for Microsoft and the good news for people who are migrating from older versions of Windows to Windows 8 is that you know, the standard for versions of Windows that people really, really didn't like is Windows Vista. And I gathered those statistics too. As you can see, 42% of the people who bought an upgrade version of Windows Vista took the time to go back to Amazon.com and let their fellow customers know how much they hated it. Windows 8 isn't close to that standard, and in fact, the number of people who actually like it a lot is high enough that I think we can find, you know, there's that love-hate relationship there. I also put on the left, you've had a chance to read them by now, some of the text reviews that people left for the Windows 8 Upgrade Edition. And you know, when one person said, I heard people's frustration about 8 and I thought it can't be that bad, I can learn. Wrong. But then if you look at that one at the bottom, you'll get the reaction that I've heard from a lot of people who says, it took 5 minutes to get used to no start button. I really don't miss it and all my applications just work. There's the dichotomy in a nutshell there. Some people love